Hello friends, and welcome to patch 321 Crucible League. Recording sort of my time capsule video for this particular league. So this one, we are, you guys pretty much know the drill by now. We are gonna go kill ourselves a Sirus and have fun. So, of note, this is not Big Sirus, right? This is just regular Sirus. I wasn't actually able to play all that much this league, so this character is only 97. Still has a long ways to go on gear, but figure we can show it off. So let's get the show on the road. Just full warning here, I'm quite possibly rusty, and there may be some lag issues because a recent sort of B patch changed the shader cache, and so pretty much everything is recompiling. So if you see my shader bar maxing out, I've never had the best performance, but stuff popping in and like models loading for the first time and such is just a side effect of that patch. So yeah, anyways, this build is built around Poison Stormburst. This was something that I yoinked from a streamer. It was very much one of those fun things where it was like I hadn't played Pathfinder before, hadn't done a poison build in a hot minute. So I figured it was sort of a cool confluence of things to do. So the offense is mainly built around Stormburst, that then is getting all of the bonuses from your various like poison supports, plus increased duration, such that you can charge up a really big Stormburst and then apply giant honkin' poisons of doom. And then pretty much everything else is set up around either keeping you alive in some capacity, applying debuffs that increase your damage over time, or modifying your flasks, right? So you see here that I get a bunch of flask effect and flask recharge, and that is coming from Pathfinder. You can see my flasks are just sort of going here. Since people were worried, yes, I'm corrupted blood immune. So yeah, let's pop on in and see how we do versus Sirus this league. Oh boy. Okay, we're gonna wait a bit till this goes down and all of this nonsense stops. So sorry, friends. I maybe should have done the fight. Okay, we're theoretically good to go. You can see the character is very zippy. Flask effect plus. Oh, did I get you with the poisons? So yeah, like flask effect ends up with sort of a good clean fun for everyone. So the character, the primary defensive layers are obviously we've got Grace and Vol Grace, got Pathfinder Elemental Conversion. Oh hey, right, do like Barrett, and actually trigger his face transition. Yeah, so the primary defenses there are Elemental Conversion and just dodging things, along with Pathfinder regen, and a whole bunch of life gain on hit because Stormburst hits a bazillion times a second. Oh, recorded again. That's one of the downsides of this build. Oh, okay, I should. Yeah, you see when I remember to put my debuffs up, he actually takes damage. Okay, so again, as I mentioned, I didn't have a ton of time to play this league. Character's only 97, doesn't have optimized gear by any stretch of the imagination. This is not a showcase of what the build is fully capable of. People had like 30-40 million damage and were insta-phasing. This is very much not that. Still solid, but it could be way better. being zippy is nice. Definitely the sort of permanent Quicksilver, essentially. Not quite permanent, but it's, you know, close enough. It's very convenient. Come on, buddy. He's alive! Oh no! I suppose I should have been charging this up.
Everlasting fire.
Oh, that was convenient. One of the things to note is because I'm a Pathfinder, I'm getting my only real sustain is the life gain on hit, as I mentioned, and then the 4 per second, the 4% per second that we're getting from one of the tree nodes. So they did change some of the Pathfinder sort of resources and stuff around to make it a little less busted this time around. Where are you, buddy? Come on. You're just over there. Yeah, you can see, like, this is very much a very, very, very long shot away from the Nano Guardian last league, where, like, I think Uber Sirus took less time than this. But, you know, all in all, we got him deathless. Or, well, I guess maybe spoke too soon? Die. Oh man. That's actually hilarious. Okay, yeah, so we got him deathless.
That would only slow me down.
So, yeah. Anyways, thank you for watching. If you're just here for the kill, obviously, you know, this one was not nearly as cool as last league's, but that's sort of just a side effect of how things go. Oh, more shader cache nonsense. Come on, little buddy, you can do it. I swear my computer's not a potato. It's just thinking really hard. So, all in all, was pretty satisfied with the build. It's very durable, as was sort of evinced there, right? Like, I made a lot of mistakes, and I survived in ways that I probably shouldn't have. Build was really durable. Build did not take a huge advantage of the Crucible League mechanic. But anyways, I will vol some gloves, just so that, like... Man, you can tell. That has been a hot minute. Close. We can always recolor if we need to. So, how many we go before it'll break? Oh, nope. I guess that's sort of a metaphor for the entire thing. So let's talk about the build. So this is a Poison Stormburst build, was put together by a streamer in the community, and I just sort of like tried to execute on it. So one of the advantages of the build is a very good starter, and it uses a lot of uniques. I'm playing Dawnbreaker instead of a second Obliteration, but pretty much sort of any Chaos Wand you can use. Sorry. And use Chaos Damage Wand. The build is absolutely fantastic at mapping or doing anything with large amounts of damage or large amounts of monsters, rather, because, you know, you have Obliteration, you have Asnaths, and so just as soon as you kill one monster, lots and lots and lots of monsters start to die. So we'll zip through a quick delve here. I think this is like 200-ish depth. Again, did not get to play much this league, sadly. But you can see sort of just in general, mapping is running around with Plague Bearer and things just pop. And occasionally use Flame Dash or something. It's very, 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 very relaxing as far as mapping is concerned. And honestly pretty satisfying in that regard. Like you just sort of go. Don't have to stress, don't have to think much. Essences. So that aspect of things, and then obviously like as stuff die, like, you get life regen from that. And so in general, just highly recommend it if you want a build that is decent at mapping. And not all. Anyways. It's a bummer. But yeah. So that is sort of your map experience, is just zooming around with Plague Bearer on. And so that's, I guess, the first thing that we should talk about is Plague Bearer. So any poison build, this is actually really what you're chasing more than anything else, right? Is Plague Bearer, whether divergent or regular, right? Like you just get this big poison AoE that you run around and murder everything, and so every poison build sort of devolves into a Plague Bearer build at the end of the day. It acts as a capacitor for your damage, and so you store up this huge chunk of damage, run around applying it to everything, and stuff just melts, and it's really nice. And then if you ever run into Elite or whatever, you just debuff it with Despair, shred all its resistances, poof, you know. So we have something that increases the quality. Divergent here gives you damage over time. Molt, which is just sort of a precious stat because it acts as effectively a more multiplier on your gear, and then Ink AoE just to be able to touch all the monsters and blow everything up. Really simple. We've got some auras. We got 250% auras in Grace and Malevolence. And so we just want some offensive oomph from Malevolence, and then would like to stay alive, and we're sort of dodgy, so we're using Grace instead of Determination. And then Herald of Agony. Herald of Agony is our friend because it gives us poison chance, and you know, just generally that's the biggest thing, honestly. Like all of the rest of this stuff, like if you got rid of everything but the 40% chance to poison on hit and the 10% more damage to poison, you'd be totally fine. And then just you only need an Enlighten 3 to fit it. Like really, we're only really using our mana for Despair, and even that, you know, we have lots of regen, and we have Stormburst set up to the point where Stormburst is free, so it just doesn't change our. You know, you can see I can channel this indefinitely. So that's our aura package. We're also running a cheeky little Vitality to get extra regen there. And then, you know, when we Flame Dash, Arcane Surge is always nice. It's not set up to be an every time Flame Dash, unfortunately, because we have the cost reduction. Actually, no. Wait, why isn't that a... Oh. Okay, I guess I just must not be using a... I must have enough... Oh, right. Yeah. So this is what's causing that. So I'll get to the flasks in a second. Sorry, it's been a hot minute since I played the character. In terms of, you know, our cast spell damage taken setup is just Steel Skin, increased duration. Like we don't have anything super amazing there. If you saw while I was killing stuff, I had endurance charges. That's a side effect of my obliteration. Again, just very simple here, like lightning gems and dot multi. Like this neck is essentially, you know, like 2 stat for all intents and purposes. Getting a lot of our damage from a pair of Mings. So Mings fizzes extra chaos. We have a spell in Stormburst that is partially fizz that we are converting, and so we just end up getting a absolute load of chaos damage out of these. These are sort of like where a decent chunk of the offense of our build is coming from. And then I didn't actually remember to use it because it's been a hot minute, but we have a haste setup. We have our Divine Blessing haste, and so yeah, that's mildly embarrassing. You can really tell I'm rusty here, but this is just lets you move even faster while mapping. You have tons of regen, and this is effectively free. So yeah. So that's the abilities. I guess I should go over Stormburst. So we have the usual deadly ailments, void manip, unbound ailments. Like we are basically just trying to make the poison applied by Stormburst do as much damage as humanly possible, and then increased duration there increases how much damage we're getting out of that. So you can see we can charge up Stormburst pretty effectively. Depending on whether or not the cast speed flask is up, we get more stacks or less stacks. You know, if we have haste on, I believe we can get up to like 30. No, okay, well, you get the gist, right? So let's go over the gear. Life suppress, health regen. So we are using health regen as one of our primary defenses because we have sort of a lot of physical conversion. So basically, anything that doesn't kill us, if we have lots of life regen and we have lots of life gain on hit, the idea is we just go back to full almost immediately. You saw that a couple times during the Sirus fight, right? Like I screwed up and got beamed or whatever, and still just popped back to full in a second. That's because a lot of the suffixes on my gear have life regen. Using obliteration, we are using Dawnbreaker. Dawnbreaker is really just sort of very nice. Anytime you get you take non-fire damage, converts over to fire damage. Anytime, you know, and we're using basically just sort of lets you get things sorted out there. We're not using any max res, unfortunately. So we're just, you know, this is purely for the elemental conversion, but it's good enough for that. So obliteration, everyone knows and loves. Fizz is extra chaos, and then pops. So pops are why the enemies were just exploding as we were running around the map. Again, just damage from malevolence. Flask effect is sort of just damage effect and everything else, and then life suppression res and ailment avoid. Asenaths, again, just temp chains when we're running around. We want one curse. You know, temp chains is a huge buff for poison, so we get increased poison damage if something stays long enough alive to have all our poisons last out. You know, the temp chains can be a big damage increase there, and then their secondary pops, right? Like that's the little sort of sandy explosions you saw when I was doing the delve run. Again, this is sort of where a lot of our flask effect is coming from. Man, I didn't even catalyst this. Yikes. It's depressing. I wonder if I have. I guess I don't even know. Wow. Okay. Anyways, whatever. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. Like, I can't believe I didn't modify this. And then this one's just sort of action speed is the big one here, more than anything else. And then move speed, life suppress, regen, res. You know, this was just someone made this with ROG. And sold it off, and then I threw some Eater and Shaper into it. As far as the League mechanic is concerned, so the League mechanic this time was Crucible. And the idea was this sort of, if you ever played like World of Warcraft, it had sort of like artifact powers associated with your weapon. Oh, I guess I'm not even using the... Okay, well that explains. And so you see here, like, we've got these trees, right? And so this is just like adds a little physical damage, gives me mana regen and max mana, which like both of these are pretty inconsequential, but then gives me a kiss curse effect of the kiss is like additional chaos stomp multi, which again is like really valuable for this build, and minus res. And so I am admittedly like really not taking full advantage of this mechanic. You can build some absolutely like god tier busted weapons, and I didn't, right? As far as the Dawnbreaker is concerned, this was actually like decently nice. Increased global fizz, increased global defenses, and then this effect basically like anytime I get hit by a spell, I get 3% of my life back. This is amazing. I'm shocked that it exists, frankly. And then like on kill, I get endurance charges, right? And so that's what's powering our steel skin here. I don't have endurance charges while bossing, but I do have endurance charges while mapping. And that's the nice of it. So I saved the best for last as far as the gear is concerned, right? Like I talked about sort of the various components, but I haven't talked about the flasks. And we're playing a Pathfinder, so Pathfinders are all about flasks. And the Pathfinders, in that regard, it's just super fun, right? Like so you get fully automated. Like these are just use while full. They're not even used when expires or anything. It's just like bam, like as soon as it's full, use it. And so that's why they're running in the hideout. But we get ourselves enough increase to flask gain from the various effects between our tree, between our gear, that we can just let them go. And so we also get a ton of flask effect, which is really nice, because so this like evasion cast speed, right? Like this cast speed is actually like 30-40%, something like that. Like this I think hits like 33%. And so you see we are very much optimizing for increased effect on all the flasks. And then all of our conversion here, like this is one of our defensive layers that I was talking about, right? Like we're using the hat that is converting physical damage to fire damage, right? We are converting here with the Dawnbreaker, and then we've got, obviously the Taste of Hate. And so just like so much of our damage as it comes in is being converted to LE damage that it's very hard to pop from a physical hit, which is usually the problem that Grace builds have, right? Like I think we look at our armor, like we just really do not have much, right? Like we've got 3,000 armor. This is again soft core build. Like hardcore would probably run determination instead of malevolence, and have a lot more armor. Take advantage of the giant chunk of armor on here and all of that. Like this is where like 90% of the armor of our build is coming from one item. So yeah. So that's the gear. Basically, we just have these like really nice flasks. Like again, this is like 6% life per second. And oh man, like that's so shameful. Not even like. Anyways, can't beat myself up too much. Basically, like I had a bunch of RSI problems at the start of the league, unrelated to playing Path of Exile, ironically. And as a result, just sort of lost steam and wasn't able to play. So this is Pathfinder. You see here we've got sort of the usual poison package. I think this is pretty much what like most Pathfinders look like. There's some who the people who are going like super tank Pathfinders use Master Surgeon instead of one of the poison nodes, but that's we're in softcore again. We're taking advantage. So this proliferates poisons. And if during any flask effect, right, like our flasks are never down. This is just free wither, really nice. Not having to worry about how you are playing wither on a poison build. A+, highly recommended. Again, here just giant chunk of flask effect. So all of these flasks are just doing more. And then this is our money, right? Like flasks gain 3 charges every 3 seconds. You get a flask charge a second. We modify that with other sort of flask charge gained mods, stuff like that. Flask duration increases, and in general, just make our lives easier. So, all in all, like the tree itself, obviously, like we are pathing for various life nodes and poison nodes. And, you know, we've got the aura effect, and then we've got a bunch of gems. But, like, it's... You know, we're picking up suppress here. But in terms of the things that are sort of interesting about it, you know, we've got the flask stuff here. Increased duration and, you know, get increased effect. Let's see. Yeah, just... Again, another flask wheel. And, you know, a lot of softcore builds don't bother with the 4% life when you use a flask. I don't like dying all that much, so I've got that. This is not really doing a ton for me, honestly, but it's more just like a comfort blanket at this point, right? Like you would have more energy shield if you had different gear. This is mostly just a blankie, but I've got it. And then your sort of standard skill effect duration, increasing the damage your poisons do. Like your spells have more dot effect for poison, an aura cluster, and then the whole Whispers of Doom additional curse thing. Like, you really only saw it when I was bossing, right? Like, you know, I auto-apply temp chains to anything that I'm fighting, and then I can cast Despair to shred resistances, and Whispers of Doom means the Despair doesn't pop the temp chains off. Let's see. In terms of Atlas, wasn't even doing like high tier stuff for the time being. What did I end up doing? Yeah, I was okay. So this league I was mostly doing Expedition Harvest, so big slow maps more than anything else. You know, just like pop it in, go. Like you've got. I guess I was doing Searing Exarch right now. Right, okay, yeah. So I was just doing a bunch of like goofy stuff and then hoping for RNG drops. Wasn't amazing or anything, just sort of fun. Bunch of pack size for the basically like growing hordes is fun if you haven't ever played around with it before. The basic idea is you get a bunch of free pack size for dumping garbage scarabs into your map device. So you just dump 4 garbage scarabs in, you get a bunch of increased pack size. And then run like fortune favors, increased pack size, like all sorts of other stuff, and get like big juicy harvests, right? Generates a bunch of juice, and that's enough to buy things. In terms of items that like the build really wants that I don't have, a Progenesis is really nice. You can for sure, if you want to just farm it yourself, you can. Like, again, I just didn't have a ton of time to play. I think they're like 30 or 40 div right now. Like, people have realized just how absurd Progenesis is as a concept. Like, Stagger is just an incredibly powerful mechanic. So, yeah. That's like the only item that I'm like, oh man, like I desperately wish I had that. But yeah. All in all, Crucible let people do some really busted things. I didn't really take advantage of it because I didn't play a ton. But yeah. See you all in 322, friends. Take care.